Welcome to the Great Work of Your Life interview series produced by Revealing Genius. Our guest today believes the opposite of depression is fulfillment. He's the founder and principal of Human Work Studio, where high achievers come to learn science-based practices to restore and grow. And get this, he is on a life mission to alleviate the experience of depression, anxiety, and burnout, to improve relationships with themselves, teams, families, and communities. He holds a PhD in organizational psychology from Columbia University. He is the author of a book that I love called You Are Not Depressed, You Are Unfinished. And he's also the founder of the Bill of Emotional Rights, which we will talk about today. So if you are a high achiever, please listen closely. Please help me welcome Dr. Ardeshir Mehran. So glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Mary. Yes, I'm glad to be with you and with your audience. And I've been looking forward to our conversation, to bringing some relief, some hope, and some practical science to high achievers. That how do you use the experience of so-called mental illness as fuel for growth? There's a science nobody told us. And I'm here to share the essence of that and inviting you. You can feel better. We are designed for that. Just a point of addition. So I got my doctorate from Columbia. I triple majored organizational psychology, psychoanalysis, and research and statistics. And I wasn't after a degree. I was obsessed with finding answers about why people get emotionally unwell, and how do you bring them to health? And did my clinical training in Bellevue Psychiatric. From early on, I saw, and I say this with a lot of respect, we psychologists, we complicate things. People are complex, are not complicated. Illness, physical or mental or spiritual, is data. There's a message for that. And Western medicine, I was trained in it, we're trying to manage it, minimize it, contain it. Versus, if you understand it, you can harness it, you can literally change it, you can come out of it. Illness is data.
Illness is data. Thank you. Yeah. So, my gosh, we have so much to talk about. Let's start with our first two questions. What gives you energy, Dr. Mehran, and what drains your energy?
What gives me energy is if you go to my website, to my Amazon review page, when people write me, and I don't know these individuals, and there's one healthcare executive, I believe she's somewhere in Midwest, she wrote me, and is in Amazon, you can see it said that the night before I was contemplating suicide. I saw your book, got the ebook, started to read that, and I ordered a hard copy. Your book gave me hope, and I started to work toward healing. So when people write me and say that they are in a different place in life, that my work, my writing, my recommendation, the science help them, that tells me, Ardeshir, you're doing the work that you're serving. You're helping people to live a better life. The part that there's a bit of sadness in that, for those who, I hope they read my book, I struggled with depression and anxiety myself for years, and I went to 7 psychologists in New York, San Francisco, psychiatrists, medication. I was a good patient. I got good diagnosis, but they were keep missing me. Now, I wish I had met somebody like me 20 years ago. I would have been a much better, happier father, happier spouse, happier sibling. But these days, what gives me energy, helping others to reach their better self right now. You don't need a lot of complicated therapy.
Yeah, so would you mind sharing a little bit about your story? I mean, the work that you're doing now was really driven by personal experience. Yes?
Yes.
You experienced depression, anxiety while in a very key leadership role. Yes?
That's right. That's right. So two things. I want to let you in a bit of secret that people who go in a space of health, mental health, psychologists, and people who are trying to heal the world, by and large, they coming from depressed family and depressed mothers. They go in this world trying to make the world a better place because they heal somebody's pain that they, as a child, they saw and they couldn't. So I went to this work trying to figure out why my mom was struggling. And there's an expression you see in parents. Now, I'm a father myself, that they look at you, but they are not there. There's a sorrow, there's a heaviness, there's a burden. And I saw it in my dad. Then as I start to go to the corporate environment, I was hired, recruited from Columbia to a major corporate headquarters that in downtown Manhattan. I would see high achievers. They look great. They smell great. Gold Rolexes, fancy Cartier suspenders. And I would get to know them, travel with them, and I would see the same expression that there's a sorrow. They're holding on to certain heaviness. They didn't name it. They didn't want to name it, but they were just restless. So I would travel with them. I would see how much they drink, the pills they take for back pain, shoulder pain, gastrointestinal, cardiovascular. A lot of men with had the cardiovascular, women gastrointestinal. Very soon I realized it was my own story. When I reached my 30s, we had our child, the first child, I realized I'm struggling. I'm just like my dad. And as a trained psychologist, I couldn't find a way out. And it was at that point I started to ask two questions, which I hope your audience asks these questions. What is depression? And why healing depression is so hard? What they teach you in clinical training program is sometimes healing depression could be months or sometimes several years. Then I ask myself, why is that? We human can quickly change on a dime in the right environment, but why healing depression takes so long? And what the heck is depression? Asking what is depression, at that point I realized actually the clinical depression, go pick any book from bookstore, what is depression, they give you clinical, is about diminished appetite, energy, pleasure seeking, concentration, all of that. Those are symptoms. Those are not depression. It was at that point I realized we don't actually understand depression. We're trying to manage depression. That was, if I share the key pivotal point, and I realized from my early clinical training, when patients and later on clients, they shared about their burden, heaviness, they almost always told a story. They talk about their pain, burden, frustration, anger, etc. But then there's a story of a soul of a person lost. They're seeking something. They want to do away with something. There's emotion and movement and dynamics about they're looking for something they know they deserve. They want it. They've seen of it. And it's not there in their life. And I started to research and model that across many hundreds of people. They all told the same story. Different language, different metaphor, different adjectives, same stories. And that became the essence of my book, The Emotional Rights. When you're depressed, there are experiences we have. They're as elemental as our DNA that they've been missing in our life. Nobody told us, nobody taught us, nobody says, hey, you deserve to have these experiences. Once you have depression is a signal that there are things missing. The same way we have vitamin deficiency, we know what they look like when you don't have your vitamin E, vitamin D, and so on. When you have emotional deficiency, that's what depression, anxiety come out, that they're deficient in certain areas.
Yes, and I like what you said on your website that there's really a myth. The myth is depression is the cause of unhappiness, but what you're saying is it is not. That depression is really just a symptom. It's an unhealthy, it's a tiring symptom, and it's a product. This is your quote, your words, a product of your fight against living an unfulfilled life.
That's
So
right.
that's the deficiency.
That's right. Depression is signal, dear friends. Depression is signal. Our whole therapy is about minimizing, numbing, and medicating the signal. And we will fight that battle forever. Unless you understand, you sit down and listen to that signal is from you to you. You can decipher it. And through that deciphering, you will come to this realization, oh my gosh, I have work to do. I have work to do. The moment you do that, you will not be depressed. You will be pissed. You don't want to waste time anymore. That's the beginning of you soaring and claiming you. That's what happened to me. That when I realized that actually there were some basic human needs for me didn't develop, and I was a successful executive, I was a role model, getting all my bonuses, people want to be around me, getting promoted, mentoring many other high achievers. But deep down, I was dead. I was dormant, and I just didn't trust my own knowledge as a psychologist.
Fascinating. Thank you for that. And so the great work of your life is helping folks to identify those signals and then do the work. So what do you love the most about your work and what do you like the least?
Well, so what I like the most is that simplifying healing process, there's some basic language. I'm a very practical guy. And I tell people if healing, you need to explaining a lot, there's something is off. We humans, again, are complex, but we're not complicated. But that's what I love saying. Dear friend, know this. Understand what is depression, what is anxiety. Once you know it, you can manage it. But I like the least. So I'm an entrepreneur, left my business two and a half years ago. So I need to market myself. I need to get on a speaking tours, do my TED Talk, which will come very soon, all that. I'm a private, reserved, and introverted guy. And so it doesn't come natural to me. And I tell myself, Ardeshir, get over it. You have work to do. Get out there. The world needs to hear you. And then I think other people have done it. So get out there and do the work. Do the work. I believe in this phrase, do the work.
They do. The high achievers need to hear your message for sure. And so, I mean, you were a very, I mean, from a third party looking in, by social norms, you were a very successful executive, and now you are doing this work where you're helping other folks to soar, which I love that word. When did you realize you knew what the great work of your life would be? Was there a moment in time?
It's interesting. No, something around it. People who read my book at 2012, it was in a third Sunday of August. There was a series of epiphany. My Bill of Rights, my research started to gel together because before that, so this has been 35 years in development. Suddenly there was level of clarity came upon me. But then the work of life, when I realized finally I'm home, it happened in the year 2022. There's an organization, Young Presidents Organization, YPO. So I've been posting on LinkedIn. So I got an email out of nowhere that it was from YPO planning committee. They sit there, they have an annual conference. It's called Global Edge Conference in New York City in November of that year. They've been monitoring my writing about a different way to think about emotional wellness. Would I be interested in doing a keynote? I had no idea. And they asked me to write a proposal. I give them basically one page. And the top line of that, executives, high achievers are like a thoroughbred horse that they run on three legs, galloping. They think they're doing well, but what they don't realize, they can even go further. They'd be even more mightier and more awesome, but they are compromised. They don't even realize that. The majority of them are like that. They, within 2 weeks, they wrote, says, we love you. You'll be on the stage. And I said, so what was the process? They said it was between you and Mackenzie. We decided to go with you. That's the day I realized my message resonates. That the Speak My Truth is a story of pain, is a story of not suffering, a story of greatness delayed, greatness fully utilized, the unfinished work. So when I gave my presentation, 2 weeks before my presentation, YP wrote and says, we had to move your session to a bigger venue because the room, there were so many people, over 350 people had signed up, and the room had only 200 occupancy. So when I was giving the presentation, there were people keep coming in, standing around the side of the room, and to the point they had to literally lock the door. It wasn't about me. Those leaders, they wanted answers. It was a message that is a message of hope. That if you understand, it's about you. It's about your life, about your greatness. And here's the science. When I finished, it was a long line of men and women asking about themselves, about their symptoms. What do I do, et cetera, et cetera. So I was there 45 minutes after my presentation, answer all questions, any question. That's the day I realized I have a responsibility. It's not about me anymore. And then that's the day I felt that finally I've arrived. And dude, do the work.
Yes, help these thoroughbreds run on all four legs. Imagine what the world would be like, you know? Oh my gosh. Did you ever have doubts? And can you give us an example?
I did. So some of the questions people call me, you asked the question about clinical depression. And then there are people call me either for a relative or the spouses that they are on medication or that they've been admitted to hospital. Those questions are very vulnerable, that people are at risk and suffering. So my doubt is that how do you help those individuals when they are in the medical system, mental health system, that they're getting care, they are not getting results? This is very important for me to highlight, that being in a state of maintaining your health system is not the same thing as healing and healing outcomes. Healing outcomes, that's the only thing I pay attention to. Are you getting better? How fast? Are you getting fuller results? So what I see, the doubt, you see there are people who struggle. And my sense is, are they getting better health? So one of the doubts and vulnerability I have, what do I say yes to as a client? What do I say, you know what, you need to go to inpatient or outpatient and then just see a psychiatrist? Because that I want to help everybody, but I realize I just have so much bandwidth. So the people I focus on are people that I feel they are at a certain level of, they can manage themselves. And there's a quality I look for in them. I call souls on fire. People who have said that I want to break out. There's a greatness within me with hell, but I know it. I know it. I want to be that amazing teenage girl or boy that I know is there, but somehow went off track or is dormant all my life. That's my story. That's my story. So those are the individuals I work with predominantly. But my doubt is that I want to help those other individuals that they need deeper, more intensive care. But I'm not there yet to help everybody. So I'm trying to set boundaries.
Yes, and you've had success mainly with executives because you
Mhm.
were, I mean, that was your story. So you lived it and
Yes.
you're soaring now and you're helping other executives to soar, but you also work with teenagers, teenage high achievers, if you will. So
Yeah.
you've had quite a bit of success. So how do you define success?
Yeah. So thank you. So the way teenager happened, their parents called me. They're typically my client, and in fact, there's teenager and their grandparents. You know, they like. In fact, last year I did my therapy, which two separate grandmothers. They said, "I saw your book on my child, the kitchen table," and I start to read that, and I realized, oh my gosh, they're about to put me in nursing home and a soaring life. I'm still soaring. I'm not done to die. And so, will you do coaching with me? Then the mothers called me for their teenager. And this is about teenagers saying that this is precocious, already top of the class, but it's not doing well. We took it to doctors, psychologists, diagnosed with either ADHD, anorexic, or obsessive compulsive. The very first response is medication. And they said that, is that true? So what I share with them, there's a science, and I can talk about citation especially ADHD, which is very common in high achievers. It's not about your brain. That very high interactive, the perceptive brain, and you can multitask. Is not about your brain. It's about frayed, early attachment, human connections. That when we develop fully, whether it's mother or guardian, is about early childhood development, the brain enters a phase that is brain is scanning the environment for comfort, for love, a love that is available, a love that is not distress, a love that is not inconsistent. So those individuals become very good in reading the environment, reading the room, the very fast track thinking. But deep down is a computer system that is never settled. So success to me, it means you learn to settle in the state of doing and being, the state of, you almost think about 50-50. High achievers pedal on the gas all the way. People who are depressed pedal on the brake. They're going to shut down. Everything shut down. And then so when you go to doctor, you take medications trying to bring some hormonal balance so you can come up again. That's where suicide happens. The balance is that you're in 50-50. You don't have to be always on the go and you're not shutting down. So you're very intentional. You can drive and you can chill. You can drive and you can chill based upon what's the truth, what's the work at the moment. The reason that happens, you own your body. You own your emotion and you own your neurological reactions. So you become, it's almost like a fighter in the ring that you know when to punch and when you just go in the ring and you can, dancing around, dancing around and avoiding blows. So you become very grounded person, not reactive, very grounded.
Yes. And you help people get there. How about your superpower? Where have you spent 10,000 hours honing your superpower?
So thank you. I didn't know this is my superpower till people told me about it. They said, you see me, Ardeshir. And initially when they said that, I was thinking, what the heck you're talking about? So when people come to me for therapy these days, compared to 10 years ago, I was paying a lot of attention to what they said about their needs, their goals, their, their frustrations. Like it was verbal communication. The work that I do right now, and I see how the person shows up, the quality of their breathing, quality of their eye contact, quality of their posture, that the quality of their connection with me. The superpower power that I have is for me to ask the person, like let's say you're my clients, Mary, what are you noticing? I don't ask people how are you feeling. That's feeling we think it happens in our brain. Feeling actually is in our body. And our body stores and has so many ways to express emotions. So I asked people, what is coming up for you? And they said, all right, what the heck does that mean? I said, head to toe. What are you noticing in your shoulders, in your forehead, in your throat, in your gut? What I'm helping them is to notice your body. Your body, anybody, is the source of data, information, what you're picking up around your environment, including yourself. That information, once you know how to understand it, you can harness it, you can manage it. So my superpower is really connecting with people, inviting them to own your entire being and bring that to conversation. Why is this important? Why is this important? So the people who work with me, they know this. Once as a leader, you do this, you go to the room. When you're grounded, you're calm, and you're in your body, instantaneously you shift the energy of the room. People, they just love the way you enter the room, whatever you said, it's, oh, it feels good. I want to be next to this person. Versus if you go to a room, you're anxious, you are hypervigilant, you quickly shift the room's energy. People become defensive, become anxious. Versus you go, you're calmer, you're grounded, you notice about where you are. Body reads body at the ratio of 80-20 faster than the words read words. So you shift the room. Why does this matter? Once we are grounded, this is important, colleagues, to listen to, we become smarter. Our field of vision, our field of cognitive processing become really multidimensional. We see more, we perceive more, we can think faster. You can pinpoint when somebody's BSing, when somebody's really giving you data. You become less analytical, you become more intuitive. So you become a better leader. You speak fewer words, but your words, they have anchors. So you become a better leader once you do that.
So it's the art of being grounded. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wish you were better at?
Yes, stage presence, and I'm working on it. So what happens? Here's the truth. I'm doing my own work of getting a better, stronger, more authentic person. So there's a version of Ardeshir that I knew as a corporate executive. I've done so many presentations, so many lectures, so on. Now as an Ardeshir, as an expert in the next generation of performance healing, it's a way of talking, storytelling, that is new for me. Like when I did my YPO between my wife and son, for weeks I rehearsed because it's not only for me speaking, that people actually sense my authenticity is the language. So to get better at is that my way of talking, that I'm role modeling that. What does it mean to be grounded? What does it mean to be intentional in the moment, to breathe? So people see that. So that's a new and developing skill for me.
Makes sense. I have a question that comes from Oprah's magazine, and she would always write about what she knew about herself to be absolutely true. What do you know about yourself to be absolutely true?
If you work with me, I will catch you. I will not let you fall. What I mean, I went to a number of therapists over the years, like 15, 20 years ago. They were wonderful clinicians. What they didn't realize, I was in a free fall. they missed the signals. They were focusing on symptom management. What is true when people come to me, I share them, and I do mean it, that there's a therapy contract. The other one is a life contract. I will be your safety net. I will not let you fall. And when you work with me, forever you'll be under my guardian protection. I will have you back. That I will not let you fall.
Well said, and hopefully soar. There's the opposite end of the spectrum. Knowing there's a safety net, why not soar? Why not take that lead, walk through that doorway, if you will.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Is there anything that people would be surprised to know about you, Dr. Mehran?
So I'm a sport fanatic. I run marathons. And I'm getting ready to do in San Francisco, escape from Alcatraz, swim. I love anything sport. Show me any sport, I will try it. And it's not that I want to be fit and get six pack, all of that. The body is an amazing tool. And for a lot of high achievers, we spend time sitting in a location in meetings. That actually does damage to us, to our psychology, not just physiology. So anything with sport, some of my clients here, we go run together. The reservoirs around my area in Northern California. And when we do that, we practice some of those emotional rights, including soaring. So you want to get on my good side? Let's talk sport. let's talk running, tennis.
I don't know if I could swim the Alcatraz with you, but I'll go for a walk or run.
Absolutely.
That's great. I have two more questions, and then we're going to pause. And then we have a bonus question at the end. So we need your advice. What's a book that inspired you to behave or think differently?
There's a wonderful book. It's called Body Keeps the Score. Is by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, K-O-L-K. It's been New York Times bestseller for a number of years. Body Keeps the Score. It's the science of physiology of human, that the whole aspects of body-based and trauma-based therapy. It's a fantastic book. It's then I've seen it on so many executive desks, and it basically teaches you get to know your body. And I use that I've been trained by Peter van der Kolk in the whole field of whole person psychology and physiology. It's a great book.
Makes sense. Thank you for that. I have not read that one. I'm a book junkie. That's going on the list. And then I'm looking over your right ear, and I see a quote by Maya Angelou. Yes. And that's what we want to know. Is that favorite quote, or what's your favorite quote? If I may read it, it says, "There is no greater agony than an untold story inside you," by Maya Angelou. Is that your favorite quote, or what is your favorite quote?
That is the favorite one, and that is a story of soaring. So that we all have a story, untold story inside us. And that untold story, that's one of the reasons we get depressed, that you're in a corporate environment, you're very successful, you have all the accolades, Ferrari, house on the hill, amazing spouse, but you're restless. You feel there's more to you. So I tell people, finding your story, why you exist, that is so important. Because once you do that, you're grounded. You become very protective of your investment, of your life investment. So it was a gift, and being a student of Maya Angelou all this time.
Yes, why you exist to serve. Well, I'm going to pause here. Thank you. This has been wonderful. We could probably spend hours talking about the mind-body connection and so forth. Is there anything else you would like to add? And for those listening, it's ardeshirmehran.com. I'll spell it ARDESHIRMEHRAN.com. Did I get that right?
That's right.
For folks who would like to go a little bit deeper, is there anything else you'd like to add before we go to the last question?
Yeah, just in terms of emotional rights, there's 7 of them. The rights of sense of belonging. that sense of belonging, connecting, and the reciprocal love and affection. The next one, sense of I'm boundless. That learning the power of the body we have. We think that we actually think with our brain. We know from research, we actually think with our entire body. Our entire body is involved in our communication, creation. So like you want to have a staff meeting, product design meeting, people will create more ideas, better ideas if they're standing in front of the board and walking with each other versus just sit around the conference table, generate. The other one, the next need is I am complete. Many people are burdened with past guilt and shame and grief versus learning that we only live in the moment. Sense of I'm complete. As you are, you're good right now. Sense of I matter, that we are all deserve and we should receive and bestow dignity, honor, value on each other. Sense of I make. We all do something in this world. There's a reason Gallup survey year after year, up to 75% of workers feel disengaged. We all have bills to pay. We all have to do the work. But are you doing the work that matters to you? What is your work? And it could change over time, but it's really knowing your contribution. The next need is emotional need of I am. We all have beliefs, convictions, sense of your authentic expressions. Is anybody hearing that? In business world, there are a lot of people who play safe, play nice. Tell me what you think. No, after you. Versus that, what are your beliefs? Holding them actually does damage for us. The last need, I soar. We are born, designed to soar. Not just get by, to soar, to have a life unbounded, unlimitedness, a thoroughbred horse, 4 legs galloping. Are you experiencing that? When you're depressed, 1, 2, or 3 of those needs are held back and they are not fulfilled. Men and women respond differently to those needs, but those needs are a core of our emotional health.
And you call them the Emotional Bill of Rights, which you are the founder of the Emotional Bill of Rights, yes?
That's right. That's
Fantastic.
right. And people who work with me, we do scanning about where are you in this life? What are your, is almost like a bank account. How much asset you have against them? And where are the areas of deficiency? And really, health is about restoring what is yours. These rights, parents don't give it to us. Teachers, politicians, you are born with them. They are yours. Your job is to claim them, own them, fulfill them.
What a gift. Thank you, Dr. Mehran. One last question, if we may.
Yes.
And
yes.
It is this: if a higher power would let you do, be, have, see anything, what does that look like? And there are no limitations.
No limits. So I'm a very practical guy. The emotional rights would be a way that all people know as they raise their children. I come from a family of 6, so did my wife, we raised a kid. We kind of learn parenting on the job after we mess things up. It's almost, but when you're a parent, you know your children need certain diets, certain nutrition, certain hygiene. Nobody teaches us what are the emotional components of raising a happy and essential good kid. We learn that when our children start to misbehave, they go to doctors, to principal or teachers. Once we know that children deserve certain level of connection, children owning and their behaviors, that shame and guilt, that they have consequences. To me, health starts at home. Once you do that, we have better schools, better communities, better workplaces, better societies. I will start, but parents to know this, starting with themselves. So that's when you start with your children.
So I'm just planting a seed. Could this be your TED Talk? I would come to see I would come to see that TED Talk, the Emotional Bill of Rights, and something that you can give to your children and your children's children. So this is the great work of your life. If we're able to pass that down, then you have lived. Yes?
That's right. That's right. This is the legacy will pay dividends for generation. That's a great angle for TED Talk. I didn't think of that. Thank you. You gave me a gift, Mary.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. So I will be emailing you and asking how it's coming along with your permission. Because the world needs to hear that from you.
No.
So I will be your accountability partner. I'll be honored.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ardeshir Mehran at ardeshirmehran.com. You can learn more about his incredible work. And if you are a high achiever and you're feeling that something's not quite right, go ahead and get his book. He's the author of You Are Not Depressed, You Are Unfinished. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Really enjoyed our time together.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you to your listeners. Thank you.